Let's take a quick trip back to Nigeria 2003. Democracy was still fresh, less than 4 years old, and the presidential race was heating up. And right in the middle of it all was the man himself, President Olusegun Obasanjo, the incumbent, seeking a second term. Now, if you remember Obasanjo on the campaign trail, you know he wasn't exactly shy about defending his record. From the economy to security, corruption to infrastructure, he had answers, rebuttals, and of course, that Obasanjo confidence. This debate wasn't just another election ritual, it was a chance for Nigeria to look to their president in the eye, hear him defend his administration, and see how he handled the heat under the studio lights. Spoiler alert, he had his moments, some sharp, some controversial, and some that still spark debates till today. So in this throwback, we're rolling the tape on the 2003 presidential debate with none other than Chief Olusegun Obasanjo in the hot seat. Watch closely, because what he said back then tells us a lot about Nigeria's political journey, and maybe even where we are today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you in the next video. Let's get right into it.
So once again, good evening, and thank you again for being with us for the final session of the second round of the Presidential Debate 2003, coming to you, as always, live from the ECOWAS Secretariat in Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. My name is John Momo, and with me on this fifth session are Remi Oyo, President of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, and Ray Epu, who is the President of the Newspapers Proprietors of Nigeria. Our timekeeper is Michael Obiakeme of the AIT, Africa Independent Television. Let's now welcome the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. Chief Obasanjo, a very warm welcome to you.
Thank you.
Here are the rules of these debates. As always, we read them out. There shall be a moderator acceptable to all stakeholders. There shall be 2 panelists. Each session of the debate series shall be for 90 minutes. There shall be a timer for control of timing. The order of speaking, who speaks first and who speaks last, shall be determined by a toss of the coin. In this case, you are the only candidate here, so there's no need for that. Opening statements by you shall be for 3 minutes. Closing remarks will be for 2 minutes. And the panelists shall not exceed 45 seconds in asking a question. An answer by the candidates shall be for 3 minutes only. There shall be no rebuttal in this case. We may have to follow up. Candidates are not allowed to ask questions direct from each other. The moderator may permit more time for a particular subject, but you will have only 2 minutes to explain and to respond. Only the moderator has this discretionary power. Candidates must focus only on issues and be positive. There shall be no attack, personal or negative attack on any person or on each other. Language shall be presidential, dignified, and that which enhances the good image of the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Candidates may choose to sit down or stand throughout the duration of the debate. And candidates shall exhibit comradeship, friendship, love, patriotism, and be truly happy to see each other. So you should be happy to see us. Chief Obasanjo, in 3 minutes for your opening remarks, would you tell us why you are seeking re-election for the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. On a lighter note, since you have these rules for a candidate or 2 debaters, and I have no body to debate with, I thought that you will have a rule for a single debater. But since you don't have that, I will still abide by your rule for 2 debaters. Well, why do I want to have a re-election? Well, it's simple. The theme of my World Conference is continuity for stability and change for progress. Anybody knows that continuity has an element of stability, an element of security with it. But also, in my part of the world, people will say, well, we pray that the way you spend this year will be better than the way you spend last year. And that is the change. You want to learn from what you have done probably inadequately in the last year and improve on it so that you will do it better this year. And that is the change that we talk about in our own theme, that we will want continuity so that things that we have begun, we continue to build on it, but we will also want change where we have learned lessons that we will want to do things slightly differently. We have established certain reference points, certain landmarks, certain foundation. Take, for instance, in the area of economy. In the last 3 years, our economy, GDP, has grown by 3.8, 4.2, and 3.5. In the average, in the 20 years before that, it has been 2.6. So we have something which we have given, and we want to give better, more and better.
Thank you.
Of the same thing.
Thank you. Remy, you'll have the first question.
Chief Obasanjo, it is generally agreed that over 90% of Nigeria's earnings come from oil and gas. If you win the forthcoming presidential elections, what development alternatives would you initiate towards the diversification of Nigeria's economy?
My dear sister, my own statistics is slightly different from yours. Mine is, in fact, to be exact, 81.96. So for the purpose of argument, let's call it 82% of Nigerian earning comes from oil, either in tax or in form of petroleum tax and direct revenue and all that. But it's still excessive, whether it is 90% or 82%. And for that reason, over the past 3 years, I have looked at what are the other areas where we can really quickly diversify into and make impact in the next 4 years, as you have rightly said. And we have chosen 5 other areas. One is gas. Now, gas, you may say, is in a way oil-related and in a way non-oil-related, because you have associated gas and non-associated gas. But another thing is that whereas we as members of OPEC, or our oil production and sale is controlled by OPEC quota. Gas is not controlled by OPEC quota. So we have taken gas, we have taken solid mineral. This is one area we haven't paid enough attention to in the past. And only last week did we, for the first time, in over 100 years that we have discovered bitumen in this country. For the first time, we are producing or exploiting bitumen commercially. So solid mineral is another one. Agriculture is a fourth one. We'll take a simple thing like cassava. We can produce cassava pellets for animal feed, even for ourselves. And of course, the market there in Europe, particularly, is almost inelastic. It's almost we are almost unable to supply it. We have, of course, tourism, and we have manufacturing. These are areas that we must exploit, and we can exploit them.
Thank you. Ray?
Chief Obasanjo, Nigeria has been racked by all sorts of crises in the last 4 years, ethnic, religious, communal, and so on. And some people have suggested that there should be perhaps a presidential commission on crime and crisis. Is this your own idea of how these problems can be resolved on a permanent basis?
Well, I set up, if you talk of presidential commission, we have had, in fact, if you like, presidential commissions. We have a presidential commission, so to say, looking into the crisis that we have had in the Middle Belt, the crisis in Benue, in Taraba, in Nasarawa. We have a presidential commission that is looking into that right now. And we hope that whatever that presidential commission submits will be of use to us to deal with crisis that had occurred in that area and the crisis that may occur. We also set up a panel under the distinguished chairmanship of Professor Tekina Tamuno to look into the general area of crisis and conflicts and security. And of course, they did a very, very impressive job and submitted a report. So we have fairly accurate genesis of some of these crises: Ife, Modakeke, Aguleri, Umuneri, Tafawa Balewa in Bauchi. Now, you name them. We have some of the causes of their the origin, and we have already started taking measures. Touch wood, I believe, I will want to hope that we have been able to deal with Aguleri Muneri. It took my visiting that place to be able to deal with it. Touch wood again, I hope we have been able to deal, hopefully, permanently with Ife Modakeke. There's some that are, if I may put it that way, culturally related. There are some that are economically related, and even those we are dealing with, like some of the crises in the Niger Delta area. They are of economic nature.
If you notice that the time has been extended to 5 minutes, that's because I've just been advised by the steering committee to give you that because you're the only candidate here. Remy?
Sir, sometimes we have had controversies over the distribution of the national wealth. If re-elected, how do you propose to ensure controversy-free distribution of national wealth, especially to the local governments and the states?
Well, our Constitution takes care of that. And I believe it takes care of it adequately. You have a revenue mobilization, allocation, and fiscal commission. It's an independent statutory commission which is on which all the states are represented. All the states are represented, and the chairman, of course, is nominated at the federal level. Other than that, the federal is not even represented as such. And they are independent. They make submissions on recommendations, which, of course, I am obliged to pass to to submit to the National Assembly for the National Assembly to make into law. So you already have, and when they ask that commission wants to do anything about distribution or allocation of wealth or resources or whatever it wants to allocate, it calls for memorandum from everybody, from local government, from individuals, from organizations, from states, and they are free to submit. They even call for public hearing, and then after that they put their heads together and make recommendation. And their recommendation, of course, as I said, is subject to being made into law by the National Assembly. I or the federal government can only again submit a memorandum like any other tier of government or organization or individual. And I believe that is good enough in a true federalism, so that everybody has a feeling that, yes, if I want a change in resource allocation, in wealth sharing, or even in poverty sharing, there's a means by which you can go to an independent commission that can do it, and where everybody is fairly represented.
Rick?
Many Nigerians have talked about the poor state of our roads, and I believe that the President Obasanjo had said some time ago that he's ashamed of federal roads. Isn't there a way of managing these roads in such a way that they do not continue to be in this state of disrepair? And
well, I want to correct that misquoted statement of mine. I was visiting Ogun State, and somebody talked about the road, and there was a particular section of the Lagos Abeokuta Road, which I had gone on, and which I said I was particularly ashamed of that road. I cannot say I'm ashamed of all federal roads. How can I? And most of you travel on roads, and you will not say you're ashamed of all federal roads. Now, but having said that, it's easier for people to quote and misquote. But that particular section of road, the pothole and the bad part of that road, I said I was ashamed of it. And of course, it has been taken care of since then. But yes, you are right. We seem to have, in the past, paid more attention to road construction than road maintenance. I think it's part of what I would say had developed, the part of culture we have developed. We haven't really developed what I call culture of maintenance. There are a number of reasons for that. I will not go into that. Part of it too, in all fairness, is that some of the tools that we use were tools that really don't require maintenance. Well, take the simple pistol and mortar. You use your pistol and mortar, which was common tool for making our food. You just wash it and you throw it to the side. When you need it again, you wash it. But if it's a simple machine where you will need to either iron it, oil it, or grease it, you will start developing maintenance culture as you grow up. And you will find that those societies that have developed maintenance culture, children have toys that they have to learn how to repair, how to maintain, and as they grow up. But you know, our own toy is that wood which we cut and shape, and you don't have to maintain it. You don't have to try. And when I was growing up in the village, and the toy is the wood, and the girls will take the toy and put it at the back, and those of us who are boys, our toy too is wood, which doesn't require maintenance. But having said that, now we have to develop maintenance culture. And it took some time for me to be able to get the National Assembly to approve my bill on Road Maintenance Agency. Now they have approved, and in the budget of 2003, which is yet to be signed, we have put in 10 billion naira for road maintenance alone. Now, I will say that that is still not even enough for the federal roads throughout the country. But it's a good beginning. This is the first time that we will have that amount of money to be able to put to road maintenance. And we now have an organization headed by a director whose sole responsibility, sole job is road maintenance throughout the Federation. So there will also, of course, be a number of issues that will still have to be taken care of. What should be the axle load of vehicles that should ply our roads? Because these roads are designed to carry certain weight. And if you put a weight higher than the weight that the road is designed to carry, it won't take time before the road is torn into pieces. Now, we have to make sure that the vehicles that go on those roads also obey the weight limit that those roads are designed for.
Ready?
Chief Obasanjo, poverty is said to be at the foundation of Nigeria's underdevelopment. So much so...
Of Nigeria's?
Underdevelopment. Mm-hmm. So much so that the UNDP Human Development Index ranks Nigeria among the lowest in the world. And if re-elected, how do you propose to reverse the situation?
Well, underdevelopment itself is poverty. So if you talk of poverty being at the bottom of underdevelopment is poverty. So what we are going to do is, first of all, how do we take what are the issues that are really necessary to take us away from underdevelopment. I mentioned 6 areas where we are going to pay attention to: agriculture, manufacturing, solid mineral, gas, oil, and tourism. And in almost all of these, at least in agriculture, in solid mineral, in manufacturing, in tourism, You can start, you can have small scale, medium scale, large scale. And we are paying a lot of attention to small and medium scale enterprises. Now, in most developed economies, small and medium scale enterprises have been the foundation of even the so-called conglomerate, the big industrial conglomerate. That is the experience in Japan, and that is even the experience in India up to now. And I believe that that should be also our experience here. We should encourage and seriously encourage small and medium scale industry. In some other places, they call it family businesses. Here, I think we should call them small and medium scale enterprises. And that, to me, should be where we should go when we were trying to persuade the banks, the commercial banks, to put some of their profit into small and medium scale enterprises. They, on their own free volition, said they will put 10% of their gross profit into this sector of the economy. And they are doing so to the best of my understanding. And that should be encouraged. That should be encouraged. We now have a small and medium enterprises development agency. In the Bank of Agriculture, we have a department that deals entirely with small and medium scale industry and enterprises. In the Bank for Industry, we also have a department that deals with small and medium scale enterprises. Now, microcredit are things that people at the state and local government level are dealing with, and they should be encouraged to deal with. In our traditional societies, what in my own part of the world they call isusu is microcredit. You come together, somebody will collect this month, somebody collects as you put your money together, next month somebody else collects, and you go on that way. It's a cooperative microcredit system of some sort. And I believe that this is the sort of thing we should continue to go on and encourage for development of small and medium enterprises, which should form the basis of our eradication of poverty.
Chief Obasanjo, 4 years ago when you were sworn into office, one of your priority areas was redressing corruption. And
sorry, I can't hear you, and you don't mind if I ask when I don't hear you?
4 years ago when you were sworn into office,
yes,
one of your priority areas was redressing corruption in this society. 4 years after, what do you think you've done? Can you walk tall on your achievements? And if re-elected, what do you intend to do as a follow-up?
Yes, 4 years ago, I said to the people of Nigeria, and indeed to the world, that one of the things that I will face squarely is crusade against corruption. And the first draft bill I put before the National Assembly is the draft bill to fight corruption. That bill languished in the National Assembly for over 1 year. I persisted to see that bill passed. It was passed. I persisted in the implementation of that bill, of that law. And that the fact that that law has been implemented to the extent that those who in fact passed that bill less than 3 years ago have seen that the bill or the law is so good that they have seen it as a threat and they have to try and kill it, is, to my mind, the fact that that law, as a beginning, is something for which I can walk toward anywhere in Nigeria and anywhere in the world as a crusader against corruption. You see, I have said that the aim of that bill and the aim of our exercise is the elimination or drastic reduction of corruption. People will ask, how many big men have you put in jail? My aim is not to put big men in jail. My aim is to make big men not to perpetrate corruption. And if, for fear of being dealt with by the law, if that law has not been altered, and I hope that that law will not be altered, if that is there to act as a check, then I believe that the struggle is worth it, and the struggle should be maintained. Now, even then, when you talk about how many people have you put in jail or you have dealt with, a situation where judges of the High Court are being dealt with in the way they have not been dealt with before, a situation where governors are being queried for their the way they have acted in office, the way they have not been queried before, the way in the situation where permanent secretaries have been queried and have been and been prosecuted, the way they have not been done before, then I feel that we should feel satisfied that yes, we have made a start, and what we need to do is to sustain that start which we have made, not to remove the pillar or the foundation and say you want to build another foundation because the foundation on which you have seem to be loaded against you or against me. I don't believe that is the answer. So I am quite satisfied, and I can walk with my head up anywhere in the world that this administration has started. I won't say we are there yet, but we have started. And all we need to do is to continue to build on where and how we have started.
Ruby has a follow-up.
My follow-up, sir, is, so what will you do with the amended ICPC law if re-elected?
What will I?
What will you do with the recently amended ICPC law if re-elected? Will you sign it, or will you represent the original one?
As at this point in time, I have been served with a court injunction not to act in any way, and that I and this administration, believing in rule of law, I cannot act contrary to the injunction of a court or a court order or a court, a rule of a court. If that injunction is lifted, of course, what next will be decided. But I think the one I saw, the clerk of the House, and even the National Assembly were served, were restrained until sometime in April when the case goes for hearing again.
Ray?
Chief Obasanjo, a lot of Nigerians have been listening to government explanations on why the Auditor General was fired. The Auditor General who released the report that was quite damning. Why was the Auditor General fired?
Well, the Auditor General was not fired. The Auditor General was acting Auditor General. By the Constitution, I cannot have a substantive Auditor General except confirmed by the Senate. When the previous substantive Auditor General was going on retirement, he recommended somebody as a right and proper person to succeed him, a civil servant like him. That has a process, and the process was to send it to the Civil Service Commission. The Civil Service Commission also recommended that individual. I sent that to the Senate. The Senate refused to confirm. So, by the Constitution, that individual can only act for 6 months, and he acted for 6 months. Then the next man to him was also appointed by me to act for 6 months, and he acted for 6 months. Because if he acts for more than 6 months, again, it will be unconstitutional. And after he's acting for 6 months, the one who acted earlier on for 6 months, and that is again is within my constitutional right and power to do, was again asked to act, and the other one to come down. And that is what has happened. It's purely a constitutional issue.
Well, as a follow-up to that, I think your explanation is clear, but it seems to be different from what the Minister of Finance told the public. He said the man was removed for incompetence and intransigence. Those are the two words he used.
Well, I think there is, I will separate the competence from the Constitution. The competence which the minister and the minister has, Auditor General, Accountant General, and people like that, working more closely with him than with anybody else, is that what that acting Auditor General published as auditor report was audit query. Anybody who has received, whether in the private sector or in the public sector, whose account has been audited before will know that there are certain things they call audit query. You call an auditor, he comes to your organization, and he looks at your book, and he raises certain queries. For instance, let me give you an example. Part of what he published as his report was 96 staff in the presidency have not retired their advance of travel allowance. Now, that is not audit report. That is audit query. What you then will do is that you will tell whoever these people is responsible for these people. Now, I want evidence that these people have retired their traveling allowance advance payment. Now, but to the extent that he did not do that as it should be done, you can charge him for incompetence. Now, that is what the Minister of Finance is talking about. Now, I won't go into professional thing. Somebody said, well, it's professional body is different from another professional body, I won't know that because that is not for me to go into. Really.
Sir, one of Nigeria's past military leaders said, and I quote, "On reflection, it is clear that we soldiers have not given our politicians enough time and chance to mature," end of quote. And now with the recent happening in the Central African Republic, would you consider the overthrow of any democratically elected government in Africa a fundamental error by the military against democracy?
Yes, I do. My first meeting of the OAU in 1999 in Algiers, I tabled a resolution which was unanimously adopted that anybody, any African leader who comes into power not by non-democratic means should not be allowed to sit with us. And the first country to suffer from that is Ivory Coast. By December of that year, Ivory Coast had a military regime under General Gay of blessed memory. And we did not allow Ivory Coast to sit with us. And we've done that for one or two other countries. We've done it for Madagascar, I think. We said, look, you must have a democratically brought about government to be able to sit with us. And I will not, I have got in touch with the chairman of AU that what happened in Central African Republic should be condemned. I've got in touch with the chairman of ECOWAS that what happened in Central African Republic must be condemned. And I have been consulting with people to say, look, what can we do to restore democracy in Central African Republic as quickly as possible? Rick?
Many Nigerians today still think that Nigeria has not, 42 years after independence, become a united country, that it hasn't quite become a melting pot. Some Nigerians still see it as a mere geographical expression, and that is part of the reason why they're calling for a national conference. Do you have any new ideas on how to weld this country together, since you are opposed to a national conference?
Well, I believe the best way of welding this country together is what we are doing now. Just have democracy and ensure that democracy works. Because then you can sit down and discuss all your problems. Those that you think are problems and those that in fact are your fantasies. Because some of the things that you call problems, when you sit down with others to look at them, you find that probably they are not the type of problem that you think they are. And then, of course, through democracy and dialogue, we will continue to improve on how do we weave ourselves together. How do we make sure that Nigerians in all parts of the country, no matter where you come from, no matter your social status, you have a sense of feeling. You feel that you belong. You feel that you have a stake in this country. And then, of course, our elite, who are the greatest problem that we have. It's not the ordinary Nigerian, it's the elite. And then when the elite wants something and he cannot get it, it's then that he realizes that he's been discriminated against, that he's been marginalized. Then that is the time he takes recourse to the ethnicity, to religion, to sectionalism. But when he's there and things are going for him, no, he doesn't remember that. And it's democracy. And through democracy, you can sit down, put it out, talk about it. Now, and when you talk of national conference, and I have said that I am not averse to national conference, but you must have a purpose that you want to achieve. I've asked some of the protagonists of national conference, what do you want to achieve? Somebody said, well, I want my ethnic group to be the next president. Now, if that is what you want to achieve, I wonder whether you need a national conference to achieve that. Now, we must, and then I ask other people, now how will these national conference, how will you form people who will be there? Oh, he said ethnic national conference. How will they be represented? He said one representation per ethnic group. Now, would you consider that fair? Now, how many ethnic groups do we have? Now, will the Igbos be represented by one person and the Oguris be represented by one person? Now, there are so many things that you have to think about. But I believe that we have a constitution, which now, of course, is not perfect. But whatever we want to do, that constitution allows, even for the amendment of the constitution itself. It points out how you can amend that constitution. Now, if you think that also every 4 years, you can renew your mandate if you are a member of National Assembly. And a member of National Assembly or State Assembly that you don't want, you can chuck him out. Now, that is what the Constitution allows. So if, and then you talk, some people talk of sovereign national conference. I said, sovereignty belongs to the people. And once I go for an election, and the members of National Assembly go for an election, the people have put that sovereignty, have put us as custodian of that sovereignty. Now, if you then say you are now having another sovereign national conference, who then is the custodian of the sovereignty? Is it me, who had the nation as my constituency, and I went through and I have an election and I was elected, or the man you say is nominated because he happened to be a Yoruba man, or he happens to be Ray, I don't know what tribe you are. Otherwise, okay, what?
Surely it might be unthinkable to say that the National Assembly might just that the National Assembly may one day say, let's call for a sovereign conference.
Well, if they call for it, that is they have the power to. But if they call for it, they have the power to.
Well, would you be favorably disposed to that?
Pardon?
Would you be disposed to that favorably?
Now, it depends on what they want to achieve. But some people have sent a draft bill to National Conference, to the National Assembly. And I will wonder what sort of National Assembly that is. If you will say people have elected you to put their sovereignty in your hand, and you will then sit down there and appoint another sovereign national conference other than you, I will wonder. Of course, wonders never cease to occur. Let me occur.
I wonder, Chief Obasanjo, if by now, and I'm sure you must by now have gotten a good grasp of what the problems in the educational sector in Nigeria are after 4 years. If you're re-elected, what will be those things that you'll put in place to make sure that those problems don't rear their heads again, or they're solved?
Well, first of all, I believe that we should have compulsory universal basic education so that every Nigerian child can have a minimum of 9 years of education. With a minimum of 9 years of education, he or she will be able to manage his own or her own affairs better. That's number one. Number two, after 9 years of basic education, he may even be able to go on his own steam to improve himself or herself. That's the second point. Thirdly, I will ensure, and I will want to ensure, that the facilities in our educational institutions are adequate. whether they are state, federal, or private educational institutions. Number 4, I will pay very serious attention to distance learning, because not everybody will be able to have the comfort of a classroom or of a lecture theater to have university type education or whatever, but they may be yearning. And with the IT today, you can have almost as close to education in the lecture theater as you can have working with your laptop, or looking at your television or your radio. Now, I will want to improve the quality in our tertiary institutions. Take an institution like the University of Ibadan. It used to be the pride of this country. We now have a situation where graduates from University of Ibadan now go abroad and they say they have to take exams to know that their standard is right and their standard is up to the level that they will be accepted in other educational institutions abroad. I regard that as demeaning for Nigeria. So I will want to see all those universities, the new, the old, the private, the state, the federal, really being up to the standard that wherever the products of those universities go, anywhere in the world, they are regarded as up to the standard. And finally, I will want to make sure that no Nigerian child will be prevented from having a university education for lack of means. These are some of the things that we are already pursuing, and these are the means that issues that I will pursue more vigorously. And university, I don't want to approve the appointment of a university vice chancellor. What for? I don't even know them. You do it and you send me 3 names and you say approve one. I don't know them. After I have approved, 6 months later, you say there is a riot in the university. Okay, suspend him. Now I don't know him. Then you ask me to suspend. After 3 months, when I have suspended, you ask me again to reinstate him. Now, leave that to the university council. That is the type of autonomy that I want the university to have, and they should have it. They should be able to hire and fire. Now, why should the fact that the University of Maiduguri or the lecturers in the University of Maiduguri or the administrative staff in the University of Maiduguri have problem with the council of the University of Maiduguri? Why should that affect all the 61 universities in the country? Why? Why should that? But if University of Maiduguri has problem, the academic staff or the administrative staff, they should take it up with the council of the University of Maiduguri. These are some of the things that I am addressing my mind to, and I will address my mind more vigorously to them. But you will also note that before we came in, a university professor was making 11,000 naira. Today, he's making 150,000 naira a month. I am satisfied with that, and I believe that they deserve it. But if they get that, they must show something for it, and I will make them show something for it.
Where does this place the ASU problem in this scheme of things?
I thought you will be asking ASU that.
I spoke about university education generally, university education generally. But
Well, I don't see ASU as a trade union. I don't.
Do you have a word for them tonight?
Pardon?
Do you have a word for them tonight?
Oh, the word I have.
Or would you pursue this same policy when you are
The word I
re-elected?
have for them tonight is that they have never had it better. In the last 3 years, ASU had the best that this country can offer them. And therefore, they should reconsider their position and take their responsibility really as responsible leaders in this society.
So I would like us to look at our continent, Africa. And indeed, Nigeria is the most populous democracy in the continent and therefore has a critical role to play in the development. If re-elected, sir, what areas would you accord top priority for the continent's growth and development?
Thank you very much. The AU must, of course, continue to be advanced. As you know, the AU is the successor of the OAU. And the basic difference between AU and OAU is that OAU was more political and AU is more economic and social. Now, really, that is the basic difference. And I will want to see AU really going from strength to strength. I will also want to see AU, the building block of AU being what we call regional economic organizations, like the ECOWAS. Now, ECOWAS with 15, well, it used to be 16, but Mauritania opted out. With 15 countries, is easy to manage for integration, for cooperation, and so is SADC in Southern Africa. So is East African community. Now, I want to see those being paid attention. And like we are trying to do in ECOWAS, having a common currency, having a common market, now unifying our custom, unifying our economic policy, and then, of course, going on to reduce duplication in the areas where we should not have duplication. Now, if we have a strong ECOWAS unit, maybe not every ECOWAS country should have embassy in London, or should have embassy in Canada. Now, these are some things that we can do and which will save us a lot of cost. Now, what does Niger Republic, what does it need to maintain its interest in Canada? Maybe a consular officer. Now, what does that, if we have an ECOWAS office in Canada? A consular officer for Niger Republic will be much, much cheaper to run and to maintain than the whole paraphernalia of a mission in Canada. This is the sort of thing that I would want to see. I would want to see more emphasis on cooperation and integration that really leads to definite movement that unite us.
Ray, question?
The Nigerian Constitution makes Nigeria a secular state in Section 10. But it does appear that many Nigerian leaders have decided to consummate a marriage between state and religion, which has led to a number of crises. And we now have a monster on our hands. Isn't there a way that we can separate state from religion and not create all of these problems that we've had in the last few years?
Well, Ray, I will correct you again. The Nigerian Constitution does not describe Nigeria as a secular state. It describes Nigeria as a multi-religious state. And there's a difference between a multi-religious state and a secular state. There are some people who believe, who do not like the word secular. They believe that it is a bit irreligious. Now, I have nothing against the word multi-religious, and I like it. And that's what we are. We are multi-religious state. Now, multi-religious state means that you practice your religion, I practice mine. It also means that I am aware of the plurality of religion in this country and the diversity, and that I cannot ride roughshod over your religion, and you should not ride roughshod over mine, but that I respect your religion, you respect mine, but that you should not unnecessarily and unduly spend the hard-earned resources of the state to promote a particular religion against other. And that is my understanding of the Constitution, and I believe that the Constitution is right in that respect. I believe that the Constitution is right, and I believe that all of us who have sworn the oath to maintain the Constitution, to uphold the Constitution, must do that, must maintain the fact that we are a multi-religious state, that the religious practice or adherence of all Nigerians must be respected, and we must not do anything that will offend against the sensitivity or sensibility of any religion.
Would you say that those who are using state resources to promote a particular religion in any part of the country are guilty of something?
I think to some extent we are all. Now, I believe, now with all due respect, I said it today, I believe that my religion is private. And if I decide that I am going to sleep in the sun, because that's what my religion wants me to do, yes, I should be free to do that. But if I then say that the state should build a tent over where I want to sleep, then I am asking too much. I have maintained that, yes, wherever Nigerians, whether for religious purpose, social purpose, academic purpose, you have thousands of them going every year, yes, there must be consular protection for them. There must be medical protection for them. But I don't believe that the state should spend its resources to supplement such act. Now, when I was military head of state, there was no federal Christian Pilgrims Board, because for Christians it is not mandatory that we should go to Jerusalem before we see God. It's not mandatory. But because for our Muslim brothers, they have these 5 pillars of their religion, and one of them says that if they have the means, they should go to Mecca. But it is if they have the means. It doesn't say that the state must take them to Mecca willy-nilly. If they have the means. Then the next thing that happens is that we now have Christian Pilgrims Board. And now, who is the better for it? Of course, the state of Israel, because they earn handsome money from tourism, from our Christians who now go to Israel to see where Jesus Christ was born. But it is not part of the pillars of our Christian faith.
Ready?
What fresh plans, sir, do you have to address the special needs of the Nigerian woman?
Oh, Remy, you know that one of the things I said when I met the press, the world press, to launch my campaign, is that in spite of what we have done and what we are doing, particularly in the area of elective office, women have not fared well enough. As I always say to the women in our society, we must realize that we are living in a male chauvinistic society, and that is the truth. And I say to our women that, yes, the answer is that we have to understand what we are up against. And these male who will say, oh no, not for women, they are your fathers, they are your brothers, they are your husbands, they are your sons. So why can't you use your power, your influence, to get them to start changing their view? As I said, I suggested in that press conference that I will go before my party to ask for amendment of our party constitution so that 15% of elective office will be reserved for women. And somebody came to me and said, hey, what are you talking about? Do you really know what you are talking about? I said, yes, I know what I'm talking about. And he said, you think a woman will be the governor of so and so state, and so traditional ruler will go to her and say, Your Excellency? I said, well, we have to try and start moving in that direction. And I said, look, in other places it's happened. And if it has happened in other places, we must be preparing ourselves for it to happen here. That's one. The second thing is that, like a traditional ruler said to me when I was military head of state, I wanted to get something done. And he said to me, you are a little bit in a hurry. By then we have started the UPE. And he said, what you want to get done will be done when the boys and the girls that you are putting in UPE become adults of tomorrow. Now that we are going for UBE, that we are talking of education for girl child, we are going to get there. But we should also work out our plan to get there. And that is why these things, they may look insignificant, they will go a long way. Some of these things is not question of law. The other day I saw a situation where somebody was saying, well, we should make law against genital manipulation of women. I don't really think we need a law, quite honestly. Because when I was growing up in the village, that used to be the practice. But I don't know how many of the people of my age or my generation who had performed such cruelty over their children. Now, in my village, we used to have a man whose sole job is to carry out that cruelty. When he died, no one survived him. I believe that some of these things will take time, but provided we are consistent and we are going about them decidedly and decisively, and our women folk take their men folk along, not in a confrontational manner, but in a cooperative manner. I believe we'll get there.
One last question before we ask for your closing remarks, Chief Obasanjo. The press and indeed the broadcast media would be happy to note that in kicking off your campaign, you went to them to unfold your plans, especially coming against the backdrop of the supposed dislike for the media in the past before you came into office. If you're re-elected, how would you strengthen, or would you, let me put it this way, would you strengthen the role of the media because of the critical element in as a way of sustaining democracy all over the world?
Well, you say supposed. Well, since you say supposed, you yourself don't believe it, so it's supposed. But how did this supposed start? And I said it before. I had a farm, and I put at the gate of my farm armed robbers, dogs are not wanted on this farm. And after I put that, I put / and pressed men. So when it's a joke, when the press saw it, they say, I categorize them with armed robbers and dogs. Oh, I say you can see that it's an afterthought. I just don't want anybody to come and molest me here. It was there for quite some time. They took the photograph of it and they see. Some of my best friends are media men. Not that we always agree. Of course, if we always agree, then I will not be a man of my own mind and they will not be men of their own minds. And I believe that there's really enough in our Constitution to protect what needs to be protected. That is freedom of expression, freedom of speech. But I don't think that it should be done. The press should realize that they have a very critical role to play in a society like our own that is still young and whose fabric is still very, very tender. Somebody was telling me, somebody who is always very, very strong when issue of the press was being talked about. And I said, why are you so strong and bitter? He said, after leaving the government of Shagari in 1984, the highest denomination of currency then was 20 naira. The rumor had it, and it was carried in the press, that his wife was caught with 20 million naira at a police checkpoint in a lady's handbag. Now you imagine how much of 20 naira note can you carry in a lady's handbag? Even in a lady's handbag, in Ghana must go. It must be a really big Ghana must go for you to put 2 million naira of 20 naira denomination. Now, you can imagine how destructive that can be on the family. So this is the sort of thing that one worries about. Or should it not concern you as a member of the media, concern you as a Nigerian, that some people may feel obliged to take brown envelope for reporting. I will feel concerned and I will feel worried. So let us take these things for what they should be and for what they are. Now, why should I hate press? And press are necessary, particularly for a democracy. As I have always said, unless it's seen and heard, then it's never happened. So that's why press are necessary. You have to. I say, well, now you don't talk of democracy, you must talk of photocracy, you must talk of mediacracy. They are all part of the crises that we have to deal with nowadays.
May I presume then that the sign on the farm gate, on your farm gate, has been removed?
It even disappeared before I went to prison.
May we have your closing remarks?
Maybe I will think of something more imaginative when I get
Not the press this time.
I may not be press this time, maybe somebody else. I may be more specific, like saying reelection is not invited here.
Thank you. Chief Obasanjo, may we have your closing remarks? You have a rare privilege now. You're the only candidate. Tell Nigerians why they should re-elect you. All over again, and any other thing you want to add.
Well, I want to thank you, the moderator, and I want to thank you, the panel. I want to thank the audience here for bearing with me for the past 1 hour, almost 1.5 hours. I must say that it's a pity that my worthy competitor could not make it, because this would have been a very lively debate for us to be able to banter and throw it among us. After all, the Nigerians and democracy will have been better for it. All the same, I still wish my competitor well. And I wish every Nigerian well. It is our responsibility to make success of democracy. And this type of thing has never happened before. To me, this is an indication that democracy is alive and kicking. And it is our responsibility to continue to keep it alive and make it work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you for coming. And thank you, the audience. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Many thanks go to everyone. I don't have the time to mention all the names now. They are on the screen. Thank you so much. Join us again next time. Bye-bye.